I hope you enjoy a lot of footage of a single stage, because I only reached Stage 3 in the hour I was playing Super Lode Runner II. I beat Stage 1 pretty quickly, Stage 3 stymied me for about 10 minutes, but Stage 2, even when you know how it's done, took me 16 minutes to complete. That's 16 minutes for the final time I worked my way through the entire stage, not 16 minutes on all attempts. Super Lode Runner II is naturally the sequel to Super Lode Runner, which was released only a few months beforehand. Irem had gained the Lode Runner license for arcade games, and once Hudson had lost the license for console games, Irem quickly released these games based loosely on their arcade games. The principal gameplay of Lode Runner remains consistent among all of these versions. Your goal is to collect all of the gold on a stage, and then climb off the top of the screen to the exit. You can dig holes to your left and right by pressing B and A, and you'll fall through these, but the robots that are chasing you will get stuck in them. The holes automatically fill back in over time, and anything that's trapped in it gets crushed. The robots can pick up gold that they run over, and if they fall into a hole, they'll drop their gold. Sometimes. In this Irem version, they don't consistently drop their gold. Something that is definitely not a problem when the stages require that you trap the robots in specific places in order to complete the level. Robots that are destroyed will spawn again at the top of the screen, and you are able to walk on robots' heads. In Irem's Super Lode Runner, you can only collect gold when you walk into it from the side if there's a floor below it. Otherwise, you have to fall through the gold in order to pick it up. There are 30 single-player stages, and 30 two-player stages, all of which in Super Lode Runner II were created by players of the original Super Lode Runner. The two-player simultaneous mode is one of the neater features of the game, but it has a problem. Irem didn't really check those stages very well. Or they didn't implement them very well, at least. Two of the stages in the two-player mode are unbeatable, and that includes the final stage. Super Lode Runner II is basically the nastier, meaner follow-up to Super Lode Runner. Super Lode Runner already had difficult stages. Super Lode Runner II goes completely crazy with them. Almost every single stage relies on the manipulation of the robots that are chasing you. It's not merely avoiding them. On virtually every stage, you'll have to get the robots into exactly the right place so you can use them as stepping stones. Or potentially guide that robot into a piece of gold that you can't pick up. And this process is slow. Let's take a look at that second stage. You have a large mountain of gold arranged in a checkerboard pattern with bricks. The way that you get through that checkerboard pattern is by standing on a robot's head and then drilling out a brick next to them, slowly guiding the robot down through the mass. But not too slowly, otherwise the bricks will close up on you. After you fall out the bottom, you have to carefully lure a robot back up to the top, a process that requires standing in exactly the right spot and then waiting for about 20 seconds. Then you drop down in the appropriate location, this gets the robot to follow you, hopefully trapping itself again, and then you repeat. And because you have to fall through gold to pick it up if there's no block underneath it, you have to do this process a minimum of 20 times. I wasn't rounding there, you have to drop from the bar above 20 times to collect all of the gold on this stage. There's a reason it takes 16 minutes to finish it. Now while Super Lode Runner 1 wasn't especially well known in Japan, Super Lode Runner 2 does have a reputation, and that really comes down to it being an unbeatable game. Back in 1987, if you called up Irem and complained about it, then they would tell you the cheat code so that you could skip the unplayable levels and see the ending. The nicest thing I can say about Irem's version of Lode Runner is that it's not the worst version of Lode Runner. There are a lot of Lode Runner games out there. No, seriously, as many Lode Runner games as you might think there are, there's at least twice as many. But the level design is atrocious. The things that Irem added to Lode Runner, like hiding enemies in bricks, actively make the game worse. And that AI that you have to exploit is significantly worse than it is in most other versions of Lode Runner. Super Lode Runner was already a rough version of this game, and Super Lode Runner 2 just makes it worse. Just pick a different Lode Runner game.